Okay, I suggest we get started because the earlier we start, the more we can talk. But we keep that door closed, open, in case there's coming someone. But when these plenary people start speaking, I suggest maybe somebody who is sitting at the back there just quickly closes the door because of the noise. Okay? Right, the objective of this session is to talk about invasive species and to reflect on whether these invasive species are really a nice way to restore our landscape, or are they actually not nice at all and they're screwing up our landscape? So is it something that can help us in restoring our lands, or is it something that will help the restoration, or even destroy our restoration efforts? So we're going to look at invasive species from both sides. I will make up our minds if we can. The session is organized by CABI, which is the Center for Agricultural and Bioscience International. And their mission is to solve problems, environmental problems, agricultural problems. And one of these problems may be invasive species. Although some of us may say that's not solving problems, that's discovering opportunities. But we'll see, we'll debate that. My first question to you, and I think it's morning, so we need a little bit of exercise to wake up our bodies. So my first question to you is, what do we see here? A degraded land or a land under restoration? Now those who think I see degraded land, can you stand up? Okay, pretty much everybody. Except for George. You're not standing.
Yeah.
So tell us, what do you see here?
Okay, I don't know if I'm seeing any roots. I can't catch any roots, guys.
Oh.
I don't see any roots.
Is it degraded or is it restored?
It's in the process of restoration.
Okay, how do you see that?
Or maybe because I don't know the initial states.
Yeah.
So,
She's clever. We don't know. You're not standing. What do you see?
At least I see that the ground is covered by something that's living. It's not dead. So to me it's not that degraded.
Yeah. That is a really nice viewpoint. It looks degraded, but we also see some green. And green is good. So maybe it's being restored. Maybe not. We don't know. What about this picture? What do we see here?
It's not very clear.
It's not very clear? Let's see it, no?
Can anyone put the back lights on?
That's good.
Excuse me, sir. Can you put the lights on this side, please? Thank you.
That is a good idea. But anyway, we see something. Oh, that becomes very romantic. Okay, those who see a degraded land,
Oh, we should go sit down again.
can they stand? I see a lot of people sitting down. A degraded land, you stand. So those who sit see restoration. Am I right? The sitters see restoration. The standing see degradation. So I see you sitting.
I'm sitting because if I stand, I block there.
You block.
Yeah, but it's degraded, the bare land.
You think it's degraded. Joy, do you agree? Is this degraded?
yes, it is.
Why is it degraded?
Because I can see that it has the ability to be really green.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is an ability for the land to be really green, but I'm seeing a lot of patchy, pathways in between.
So you see an ability, a potential for it to be
Potential.
green, but it's not yet there.
Yes.
Interesting. We're not going to degrade yet, but let's see here. What do we see? Do we see a degraded land? The degraded land, can those people stand? And those who see restoration, can they sit? I see nobody sitting. I see, yes, I see you sitting. You don't know. Oh, this is a wise man. He made so many mistakes. And because we are going to teach, so you don't know. Okay, well, we have many mistakes. You are sitting down too.
It looks like something's happening on contours about 2 2/3 or 3/4 of the way up the land. I think that might be some restoration efforts.
This is your good observer. It looks degraded, but we're not sure because there are things happening which we don't understand probably, but we need to find out more. I think we've got one more. What do we see here? Restoration or degradation? The restoration people, they stand. The degradation people sit. Hey, here I see something to you. A lot of people are sitting now, but a lot of people are still standing. You're still standing. What is it that you see? Restoration. Why? It's green. It's beautiful. It's being restored. And what about you? You're standing. Yeah, magic glass, mushroom. There are people there, there is nothing. So, but now maybe somebody who is sitting. You are sitting. Why are you sitting? What do you think? Is this restored or degraded? Restored. Why do you think it's restored?
Because if you look at it keenly, the first picture, you see it has plants which are very green and grass which is also green, but some bare parts are brown, meaning that restoration is going, they started with the restoration, but you know it can't happen as a whole. It has to start with different patches, of which that one clearly indicates that there's that active growth of new plants.
Okay, this is interesting. Green plants are actively growing. That seems good. But is it? So I think I have one more picture.
A little bit different.
Yeah, what are those plants and why are there only one plant?
We're going to talk about that. Just wait a minute. This one, is it degraded or is it restored?
Both degraded.
Both.
Both.
Why both?
Because I see those people who are there are like culprits, but the land itself is struggling to regenerate itself, probably during the rainy season. That
The people are the culprits.
yeah, the people are. It's both,
Those
they are degrading that,
people.
but the land itself is regenerating,
Yeah.
trying to fight back.
Okay, it's a fight. It's a struggle between people and nature. Yes.
Yeah, I see degradation because look at the land, there is erosion, there is soil, and of course the plants life is gradually reducing. So this is a degradation process.
You see, this is always hard. What do we see? And we see two different things, and we don't know exactly how to interpret what we are seeing. And this, is this restored or degraded?
Restored.
Restored. Why do you think it's restored?
I didn't say it's restored.
Okay, what do you think?
It's invaded.
It's invaded by something.
Yeah.
Now, if this is invaded by something, does that mean that it is restored by that something? No, it's being degraded by that something, whatever it is. I'm going to ask for your expert feedback later on, but now this one. Degraded?
Not visible.
Not visible. Look
Not
sharp.
clear.
Look sharp. Degraded or restored or under restoration? Degraded. And what do you think? Degraded or restored? Degraded. There's an obvious one. I see nothing except for that one tree. Maybe that's the tree of all. This one. This is an interesting. Is this restoration or degradation?
Correct. Restoration.
Restoration. Why is it restoration?
I'll use my same explanation that
Yes.
I gave because I do believe restoration is bringing back land to its value.
Yeah.
And of course from there you can see animals are feeding, meaning the land is getting its value. And therefore it can produce the necessary material that are needed.
It's beautiful. It's green. So it must be good. All right. Now, here we go. We're going to listen to some experts. And this whole range of people from different countries, they're experts. They're farmers, they're professionals, they're scientists. And I would like to start with Faith. Faith is from Tanzania. She is a school teacher. She works a lot with with the prosopis? And I will also ask, Kelvin is also from Kenya, he's a farmer, and he was a youth leader. I think he's still a youth leader, although you're growing maybe a bit more old. And you're also working with prosopis. I don't know what you're doing with the prosopis, so I'll give the floor to both of you. Maybe Faith, you can start to tell us your story. Yeah? Maybe this one up.
Okay, let me start.
Yes?
My name is Kevin. I'm from Baringo County. Baringo County is the station of resource flare, which has negative impacts. As you see from the first picture, resource has spots with a lot of sugar that when animal feeds on those spots, they have sugar against all animal foods. Hence, the animal lost all foods, no it much. We have lost a lot of animals and we have lost foods because of the resource. Another thing, the negative impact of resource in Baringo, it has thorns, which when it breaks somebody, it's poisonous. When it breaks, we have a lot of people who are disabled now due to resource thorns. It's a very bad tree. Another negative impact of resource, it germinates everywhere. It degrades our land. No grasses can germinate on the ground for animals to feed. We have lost a lot of land in Baringo due to resources. Because it encroaches each and every space. Even people live in mud, grass houses smeared with mud. When it rains, the prosopis can grow on the walls of the house, and the houses can fall down because it cannot hold the weight of those millions of seedlings that grow on the walls of the houses.
So this is very interesting because the beautiful green landscape that we saw, that we loved, that you said that it's actually restoration. I thought that was restoration. You're actually saying, well, it's not so good because we're losing our animals.
It's not so good. That's why if you see this picture, the community sued the government because they introduced prosopis in Baringo to curb desertification.
Okay.
All of a sudden, it became invasive. We are the first community to sue the government and bring the animal as evidence in height.
You're suing the government
Yes.
because they brought in the prosopis.
Yes.
Okay. Maybe Faith, can we hear from you? You do a lot of work to fight to combat this prosopis, isn't it? How do you do that?
Now, one of the things that we are doing in Baringo currently is we are trying to uproot these particular trees. We don't need to cut them because the moment we cut them, they really grow. So we need to uproot all of it, and we are using the youth and even the school-going children, the smallest seedlings that are growing. We remove them in our particular environment. And we even sensitize the community members that every person in his or her own particular compound, that they need to remove them. But there in Baringo, you find that the land is communal. So at the end of it all, the land that does not belong to any person will be taken away from the prosopis trees.
So you're mobilizing your school children to totally uproot
Yes,
this
we
prosopis.
totally uproot them. And then maybe the land that we get, we use it to cultivate. We cultivate it and use it.
Okay. I even learned that you're using it for teaching young students to be entrepreneurial farmers. So you restore the prosopis landscape into productive agricultural landscape. Am I right? Okay. Hey, audience, what do we think? Do we change our mind? Did we change our mind? What do we think? Anyway, yes, who said yes? What do you, yes.
office was okay for bees, and I know that Capri is also, when the post office is coming down, they're making charcoal. So it does have some value, but it sounds like it's preventing other things from growing. So I changed my mind.
You changed
It
your
is not a
mind.
friend to other plants
You changed
or
your
animals.
You've been changing her mind by telling your story.
That's true. I think one of the biggest concerns for us is water use. We've done some trials in Ethiopia. We've looked at evapotranspiration. An average sized tree, Prosopis tree, loses per day 10 to 20 liters of water lost through evaporation. So all our underground aquifers are drying up because of Prosopis. So people might think, and that's why it's green. If you go to any landscape, even during dry season, it's green because it's tapping into an underground water resource. When we look at climate change, water, Prosopis.
So probably, sir, you were very right. You see something, but you don't know exactly what you see. And you think it's green, it's lush, it's beautiful, it's good. But this one is probably not so good. Yes, sir?
It's interesting. If you have a situation where you actually use an invasive species for restoration purposes, for example, in the it's not invasive as such, but if you can give an example from my own country.
Yes, please do.
In the 50s and 60s, we planted a lot of Sitka spruce. Sitka spruce is a North American species. So especially on the western coast of Norway, to increase the forest cover of Norway, they planted Sitka spruce all along the west coast. And it was perfect, behaving perfectly. That they couldn't use the material, so that's something else. But yes, but what happened then, what is happening now, it suddenly has turned invasive after almost 70, 80 years. So now it's a plague. It's covering these small beautiful islands of Western Norway. It's really a big problem now. It was a perfectly behaving species, but after one generation, rotation, then suddenly.
You see, this invasive species thing is not an African problem, it's a universal problem. And we think we have an opportunity. We get it started, and it goes fine. And then it goes out of hand, and the opportunity turns into a threat. Okay, I'll put another set. This one. Is it restoration or is it degradation? Degradation. Why?
Opuntia, it colonizes and controlling it is very difficult.
Okay, it's colonizing.
Yeah.
Is it like the British in those days? It's colonizing the country. No, Britain is and it's taking over.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anybody who disagrees? Who says, well, in my case, it was actually very useful? No one? Okay, so we get to an agreement. Yes, sir, please.
There are vintage groups that make jam and wine out of the Opuntia fruit. So they managed to make some use out of it.
Okay. So the more you have, the more wine you can get, the more you can sell. So let's grow more of these.
Just don't get high in your own supply.
So, but we have two experts. We have Elizabeth from Laikipia County. Elizabeth. And we have Francis, also from Laikipia County. Now, Elizabeth is an expert in biological control. I don't really know what it is, which she'll explain. And Francis, you're also good in biological control of this particular function. Can I give you the floor, please? Focus.
Yeah. What you can see there is cactus. It's called Opuntia stricta. To us, it is not a green gold, it's a green cast. And I would like to pick from what my sister said. It colonizes land. This plant was brought to our land by the colonial administrators. It was a colonial chief who brought it from wherever as a garden plant to beautify his residence. 68 years down the line, this plant is getting us out of our homes, killing our livestock, suffocating indigenous vegetation because it is invasive. It has colonized almost 80% of our pasture. We've been advocating for the eradication for over 12 years. And in 2014, we were able to influence the government to help us eradicate this plant, which has devastated our livelihood. In our land, we depend solely on livestock. And being a Maasai, anything that threatens livestock threatens our survival. You cannot separate a Maasai from a cow, from a goat, or just sharing some experiences from our brothers. I don't know why this thing is following Maasai. Because the gems are also our supply from Baringo. So it has really caused a lot of harm. That goes bottom up and the sheep. Those are my flock. I took those photos, I think 7 years ago. So it has caused a lot of harm. And I would like actually to register our disappointment with our government. Because you can imagine 68 years since it was introduced.
So something that was meant to solve a problem actually became a problem in itself. Now, Elizabeth, you're working on this control sort of thing. Can you explain us a little bit what you're doing to face these hazards?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm a pharmacy manager, and we are trying to control Opuntia stricta biologically. So we have greenhouses. We are Maasai, so we live in communal land, and we have group ranches. I operate in 9 group ranches. So in every group ranch we have 2 greenhouses, whereby we breed the cochineal, that is the insect that we infect the Opuntia in the field to be able to feed on it and eventually decay, so that we completely destroy it. So we do this through the women, the youth, and almost everybody in the community. So in the women, when I place the greenhouses in their homesteads, I have to pay them every month to look after the greenhouse and make sure the cochineal is propagating well, and they will be able to look after the greenhouse well and take the cochineal out there and introduce to the new Opuntia that has not been affected by the cochineal, and eventually we are able to cooperate, everyone cooperating in the society, so that we eradicate Opuntia. We educate our school-going children in schools so that they don't feed. The Opuntia has some very nice fruits and very nutritional, but we educate them not to feed on these fruits, because the moment they take them and they go and they domesticate, these seeds grow everywhere. And we have to educate them that this is not something good for our land, so they should not use it, so that it doesn't continue growing. So we have youths that we work with. We have 18 youths that I pay them every month to do this, to be able to supervise. And I also employ 30 casuals every month to help us spread the coaching to the new Opuntia in the field, so that eventually we are able to eradicate it. As he had said before, there are women doing this, they're using Opuntia to do the jam and the wine. The main goal was eventually to just eradicate, to use Opuntia, but the main goal is to do away with it. So they are using it, but we are trying to encourage them that we are not really. We don't really want to go on that direction of the jam and the wine, because they will be encouraging the commercial way. While as pastoralists, as they had said, anything that threatens the livestock is a no way for us.
It's a no-go.
Yeah.
So probably, sir, you had a very nice idea of propagating the fruits and making Italian dinner. But probably this is not the best way to do it, because she said by doing so we're only encouraging the production of it, and we rather want to discourage it. And you're using your entire community to eradicate. So the fight between human and nature that you were talking about, it seems that people are only in. Can I have any reactions from the audience? Who likes this story? Or who says this is nonsense and have a different viewpoint? Yes.
Well, I'm not saying that this is nonsense and I have a different view. But having worked much on the lower side of Masai Mara, it's good that these guys are also here and they follow on the same Great Rift Valley. Mm-hmm. But on the lower side of it, I think it's the prickly pear, the fruit that you're talking about, and it is consumable, as you say. But one thing that I came to realize with the people down the Masai Mara region is that they are using this prickly pear, the cactus, the puntia, to fence. Yeah, to fence their livestock. Yeah. And one thing that also I came to realize that they like it, because I've interacted with them so much, and I'm more confused that the people in the north are saying that it's a disaster, but people down, they are welcoming the idea.
Okay. So let us go back to our northerners. Elizabeth and Francis, what do you think of those southerners who are actually propagating, using it to fence?
I think our kinsmen, the southern side, I think the Punti arrived there a few years ago. Let them wait. It is a time bomb, I'm telling you.
Oh, so it is flowing. So maybe it has started from north, so it's going down.
Once it displaces other vegetation, it becomes sort of a monoculture. And there is no beauty in a world of one gender. There is no beauty. So, in our case, you can see it has displaced other vegetation. So, what has happened over time with climate change? Animals, began eating what is there for them, and that is when they start feeding on the fruit, which is sweet, which has some jam as my brother is talking about. So they become addicted to those that plant, and eventually they die.
So this, I see some good learning going on here. You're just starting and you still like it. That's good. You also still like it. You're just starting. Or you come from far and you say, hey, we can use this as a business opportunity. But let's learn from the people who know this thing better. And they say you're opening Pandora's box. Be careful. Yes, Elizabeth.
Yes, actually, even at our place, people were using this long time ago as fences still. They were using this as fences and it was very good until it spread everywhere. And when the plant became dominant, as Francis has said, and it took the whole land and there is no grass, eventually neither were the elephants, neither were the baboons. They were not feeding on it. But the moment the plant took the whole of the land and it's only Opuntia that's available, then they took what is available and it is spread everywhere because it has a lot of seeds. And the moment the elephants move to different places, they take that, the baboons. This plant is moving actually to parts of Isiolo and Samburu. So we were still using that as fences, but now we are cutting it down and trying always to finish that.
So be careful. Be careful. Final question to Elizabeth and Francis. You managed to fight this Opuntia with this biological control and you have mobilized your entire community. If it's gone, what do you use the land instead for? So I mean, if you manage to fight, to control this cactus, and it disappears,
what do you do then with the land? Where are you using it for?
We do restorations once in a while. The moment we clear the land that is affected by opuntia, we come and plant grass, and we have seen it coming up very well, because the moment the opuntia decays, it becomes some sort of manure to the soil, and the moment we do the reseeding, the grass grows very fast.
That is nice. So they turn it back into the grassland, and the grass grows very well. So that's, I think, restoration. Eradicating the bad thing so that the good thing can come back. So again, sir, I think your observation was wise. If we don't know the species, we better not say whether it's restoration or degradation, because we don't know. But the people of the place who've been living there for ages, they know it. And they have to teach others who are new in this problem. Okay, let's move to another one. Same question. This one, this picture we saw before, and many of you said this is restoration. Yes, please. Do you have something to add, please, on the cactus or on this one? On the cactus, then we will fly. Can you raise the volume?
Yes, I can. How this thing spread actually is very high speed, because the elephants speed on this one, and the baboons speed on this one. And when they spread, the seeds now will be planted, and even it has gone into the forests. So it has also caused people to be evicted. So I would like to say that now when these people are evicted by this land, when they are evicted from their land, their pastoral land, then they are forced to go and live maybe to the land that they don't own, causing conflict to other areas. And that is why we have a lot of conflict on land settlements in Laikipia, because people are no longer going to live there. They have been evicted by the plant, and there is no much plants that are there to eradicate this plant. So I think the pastoral land will actually disappear, which is because this land may become also a land for baboons, a land for elephants, because these are the only animals that feed on that one comfortably, without any harm. So I think that's what I wanted to add.
Yeah. So the problem may even be much bigger.
Yeah.
So you with your fences, it's really lovely to have good fences, but be careful. Because once it really starts propagating and multiplying, it will become difficult for people to live. Then they'll move to another place, but that other place we already have people living there, so we create problem. So I think we are learning something. Thank you very much for this contribution, sir. Now we go back to this picture. This one. A lot of us said this is restoration. A lot of people consider this to be restoration. Can I see somebody standing? Yes, Manu.
I'm glad we have that picture there. This is our most perniciously country in the densely populated areas of Thailand, and even in the widespread farmland where we are. It is our biggest problem. It's very difficult to eradicate. And we were told to eradicate it because of our dairy animals that also can be damaged by this. It is eventually carcinogenic. Over time, it will be like underwoods.
So for all those who considered this to be restoration, including myself, I even thought this is pristine forest, but it's not. So
one thing, it's not completely fair. The moment you know which species it is, then you can say yes or no.
Yes.
And you know where it is taken.
Yes.
Because our landscapes that look like that.
Yes, yes, yes. But you know we call that fascipulation.
Yes, you do.
It is putting you, is playing tricks. And the playing tricks make you think. So I hope through these tricks you will not forget. But you're perfectly right. This could have been a pristine forest as well. Okay, but indeed, the lantana, we have two experts. We have one expert, but the best expert from Uganda, Winifred Al-Opio. Now, Winifred is passionate about lantana, but in a sense that she is passionate about the eradication of it. Winifred, can I give you the floor?
Thank you. Yes, good morning once again. My name is Winifred. It's been mentioned. I work with the National Agricultural Research Organization in Uganda. I'm an entomologist and particularly a biocontrol expert. Now, the fancy picture that you see there, the slide.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah.
Yes, that's the previous one.
Previous one.
Oh, this one.
Yeah. That beautiful looking plant is lantana, like you can see written there. But the beauty that it displays is actually what makes it a problem. Because it was introduced in Uganda by the colonialists as well as an ornamental several years ago. And like most invasive species, at the beginning, it is not a problem. Like they've just said about the opuntia in the south. At the beginning, it's beauty, it's an ornamental, and it's good. But when it's given time, this invasive species, like lantana does, covers a vast area of land, taking up every part of the land, and other species cannot grow. In Uganda, lantana is mainly covering the cattle corridor, which runs right from the upper part of Uganda, the northern part, down to the south. And that is where we find 90% of the animals that are kept in Uganda. 90% of cattle, sheep, goats come from that area. And that is a part that is completely covered by the lantana. Now, the major impact that it has is on biodiversity. Immediately, the lantana covers the land. First of all, the grass species and every other species within the vicinity or the area is completely gone. If you could enter, which is impossible because it has rough leaves, very rough stems, and they form tightly intertwined, you know, one branch entering the other, to the extent that the animals, even if there was grass, of course there is no grass because it is completely covered, but even if there was grass, there is no way the animal could access that grass. So it has really seriously impacted on the cattle population. Like the numbers of animals that people can keep has totally reduced because there is no feed. And to make it worse, like has been mentioned already on the floor, with time the animals that feed on it, maybe by mistake, eventually will die, and it has a lot of impact on the communities that are living there. Because of its coverage, people have had to leave their homes and go and buy land elsewhere. People have had to live, in the next slides, we carried out a survey about two years ago, and this is what the people had to say. That gentleman up there is from Nakasongola district, and that's what he says. He says, I own more than 10 acres of land, but live as if I only have 2 acres. The land has become so small because the bulk has been rendered useless by infestation of Lantana camara. So he has to squeeze within. He has land which should be value. I mean, land is money in Uganda. But if all the 10 acres are taken up by Lantana, he lives like a poor man, and yet he's literally a rich man, given the fact that he owns land. And a gentleman down there says, I have to cut down Lantana every 3 months. If I don't, even my doorsteps will be covered in the weed. I am so exhausted, I think I'm running away from my land. He is there, he has the land, but the work and the time that he has to dedicate to cutting lantana to make sure he can live, his children can have a little space in front of his house to play, it's like literally too much work for him. He has to dedicate at least this every single month there has to be time dedicated to just removing lantana, let alone farming and all the other things we have to say. So for the communities in the cattle corridor, and given the fact that their livelihood is basically pastoral, lantana is really a hindrance.
Really a hindrance. What strikes me very much in these quotes here is a landscape is supposed to be the home of people. Now, if people do no longer feel at home in their home, they move. And then we get back to your comment. They move to where? To where other people have their home. And the conflict is being created by this beautiful wheat. By this beautiful wheat. Is there anybody who wants to share something on this lantana? Yes, madam.
Thank you.
Please raise the volume.
I want to lend my voice in the issue of lantana as one of the invasive species that are affecting forest rehabilitation in Kenya. Because as the man is saying there, we go out, we want to rehabilitate an area, we clear, then we plant. In 3 months, all the seedlings are covered and they are all strung and they die. So somebody might think you have not done anything, the money is spent, but this frequency is a problem.
Yeah.
Where we are using the communities to undertake the rehabilitation and the lantana is the problem. The advantage, not everything is negative.
You're giving us hope.
The advantage is that lantana, the leaves, they are very nutritious and humus and all that. So the communities get very good crop as they take care of the trees.
Okay.
So it's too, I mean, the process of managing this is too much, but where we can integrate it with some communities growing crops, and then there's always some weeding, then the trees are able to come up, but it is quite unusual.
Okay, but that's then the sunny side of life. Let's all start eating lantana and ask some super chefs to design some good dietary recipes or something. But Winifred, what do you think of that?
Now, feeding on lantana, there are reports where the animals, of course, humans, I mean the fruits are really small berries, tiny small berries. I don't know how much of it you would actually need to get a meal. Anyway, that is if humans were to eat it. But even the animals that feed on it, with time they are affected. They cause an impact, a health impact on the animals. So I only imagine us, we are weaker than the animals, I assure, I mean, health-wise, yeah. I mean, an animal can stand much more disease than a human being would. Yeah, so if the animals are affected and if their health is affected because of feeding on the berries of lantana, what about us? I think it would be worse.
So, madam, feel free to eat it, but eat it with care. Because, yes, madam.
I just want to agree with her that the soil below the lantana is fertile, but nothing else grows there but lantana.
That's the problem. And then these silly foreigners, enthusiastic development workers, they come and they say, but it's green and it's beautiful, let's do it. And before you know, you create a problem for local people who are then the responsible ones to remove it. Okay, I'll come back to you, but first I've got another slide, and I promise I get back to you. But we're doing fine, aren't we? What about this one? Hey, now I'm playing tricks. Now be careful. Is this restoration? Or is this degradation? Is there anybody courageous to say, this is restoration? Yes. Or is degradation? I first want to hear from somebody who says, it's not degradation, it's restoration. Be careful here. Anybody considers this restoration? I see she wants to hear. Okay, then sir, go ahead. Why do you think this is degradation?
Okay, thank you very much. The reason why I'm saying it is it's an invasive species. I work in a construction firm, and currently we are doing restoration, and it is a sensitive area. It's a national park. So we have been doing restoration for the last 3 months, but funny thing, we have been seeing such kind of species, and it is trying to colonize the area. And we engage experts, and they told us it's a weed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the private sector, you're private sector, aren't you? You're having a company. And you've learned not to use this one because it's causing you more harm than good. It's costing more than it benefits. It's a good one. Let us listen to our experts. And actually we are lucky to have two very senior experts. We have Mr. Ramadan Ali Kilewa from Tanzania. And Mr. Ramadan, actually, he works a lot in the field with farmers and stakeholders. He teaches and trains them to fight against this parthenia. And then we also have Mr. Rezene Fesahayagai Gebre Selassie from Ethiopia. And I'm very happy because you're very senior and you're very well known in the world. You've written many books and articles. So we're privileged to have two experts. And the two of you, maybe we begin with Mr. Ramadan in a few minutes. Share with us your experiences.
Thank you very much. So, Parthenium aisteroferus is an invasive species in Tanzania because it is not originated in Tanzania.
Can you speak loud?
Yes, first the plant was observed in 2010 along the roadsides in the Arusha region, but currently 5 regions invaded by this invasive species. So 3 from Lake Victoria area and 3 from the northern parts of Tanzania. And Arusha is a core infestation region. All districts are that is covered or invaded by these plants. But the plant has an negative impacts to 4 areas, but I'm going to talk to. One is the plant cause allergic reaction. So the plant got parthenin toxic substances. When people deal with these plants in the agricultural lands or in the grazing area, when they come contact with these plants, not all of them get allergic reaction, but some of them get the allergic reaction on the skin. And we did the survey in one Arusha. We assessed about 150 people, and 96 people apart from 150 complained about these plants. And we made a physical observations on some people, and we found that is about 19 people in Arusha and 8 people from the Kagera region affected by these plants on their skin. As you have seen, these are the little pictures showing the symptoms of the allergic reaction due to Parthenium plants. And also, the plants impacts the animal production. When the animal come contact with the plants, it causes allergic reaction on their body, and when they feed on the leaves of these plants, the milk become tainted, and some of the livestock keepers complained about their milk to be bitter. And when we asked them, they said that they feed their livestock on this plant because that is grazing areas in Arusha region and Manyara is totally covered by these plants. So that's the impact of Parthenium on animal health and the human health. And the rest is going to be taught by my brother here from Ethiopia. That is the experience from Tanzania.
Okay, listen.
Okay, good morning again. Parthenium, since its introduction in Ethiopia in the 1980s, with 8 shipments, now it's causing very severe effect on plant biodiversity.
Can you speak a bit louder?
Okay, agricultural and ecosystem services, and also urban settings, green spaces, and also you find it also in the roadside. It's affecting now the national parks and also nature reserves. So in the rangelands, for example, the carrying capacity of the pastoral land is displaced by Parthenium, and it reduces, by 90%. In croplands, it reduces cropping by 30 to 40%. So, when you find Parthenium, you have to take immediate action. But this was a mistake that we took. For example, I want to mention to the Kenyans. I have been several times in Kenya, but now I'm coming after 2 years. Nairobi was almost free, but now Nairobi is becoming seriously infested by Parthenium. So this infestation will explode sooner. So we are going to lose all our green spaces. This lovely town is now under threat. So the Kenyans have to learn lessons from each other. You have to take immediate action. These are the kind of things we need to do. As it was mentioned earlier, people are misled by this species because all land is severely infested by Parthenium looks green. But I can assure you that Parthenium doesn't have any use at all. As you were talking about cactus lantana, which are conflict of interest of some uses. So these things are really very severe, and also as my colleague mentioned, especially affecting the people who are controlling Parthenium, especially on this allergic reaction. At the first time, you don't feel at all, but through time you break your resistance. The Lord will use this Parthenium.
So people from Nairobi, do you know you're in trouble? Do you know you'll soon be in trouble? I'll give you the direction of Mr. Azene and Mr. Ramadan, so that you can get in touch if things go out in hand. Call them in to help you fight this grass.
Yes, I want to add something about the Parthenium. It's not an Ethiopian or Kenyan problem only. Even in Uganda, we have large infestations of Parthenium. However, one thing that we noted that is really a big concern is that in the infestations started and were highest from our survey in areas where people who were displaced through conflict, they were displaced and were living in camps, so they were receiving food aid. Those were the areas where the infestations were highest. So there is a thinking that there is a link between food aid that is provided to displaced people and introduction of Parthenium to Uganda.
And how would that link be?
Because as they bring the food, I am quoting this myself. Yes, as the food is being brought to displaced people, the grain is brought from different areas, through different organizations, the World Food Program and so many, who bring this grain from different countries. May not even be from Uganda, may be from Uganda. But our introduction, we really seriously think that it should have been food aid from other countries that are brought to help the people that are displaced and have no food. But the grain is already infested or with seed of Parthenium. And as people sort the food, of course, they will throw away what is trash and the seed is spread. And being that it's invasive, the population just explodes.
So again, good intentions, very good intentions with bad impacts. And the relation with conflicts. Conflicts have so many more impact up to the spreading of invasive species.
So I can add also on this aspect, especially this aid shipment. This was the most severely problem encountered to us. Ships during the famine situation in Ethiopia, shipments were coming from India and Central America. So at the port, since Parthenium was one of our quarantine weeks, the inspectors complained about these things, and the Ethiopian government rejected the importation of shipping lines. But at that time they cleaned it at the port, but still there is escape from that. So the areas where Parthenium starts are all areas of what we have this relief rehabilitation against stocks.
It's getting more and more interesting because now we're talking about globalization and global trade that has negative impacts because it doesn't only bring people and the people on the move, it doesn't only bring development, it also brings destruction. Yes, Ramadan.
So we have the problem in our country, Tanzania. So I would like to share with you that what efforts have been done with the government in collaborating with the non-government organizations such as CABI. So we are working with the CABIs on the issue of combating this weed by using a cost-effective, methods, that is biological control. As you know, that is in grazing lands and rangelands, sometimes it is impossible to use pesticides. Once you spray pesticides or herbicide to kill the plants, because there are some pesticides killing the plants, but livestock keepers send their cattle and feed. This will cause that is death of the animals. So we come up with the biological control using an insect known as Zygoglama bicolorata. That is the origin from Mexico. So we imported in our country from South Africa last year in March. So we layered the beetles and we have already managed to release in 15 sites. And the beetles that is work well by feeding the leaves of the plants. As you know, that food is manufactured from the leaves. So by defoliating the leaves, the plants are able to make food. So even if there is a wet conditions, the plant that die. So currently we have this technology in our country, and the technology is cheaper, and the farmers no need to buy, because what we are requiring from them is to tell us that's the problem in the area, and then we are going to educate them about the safeness of that is the biological control, because the insect is specific to that plant, doesn't eat other plants in our country. That's what I want to share with you.
So that's a wonderful experience, but maybe in 20 years' time we will have a problem with too many of these Mexican insects, and then we have to find another solution to the new problem. But I will let you answer that question, but in a few minutes. Because I would really learn from our people from Burkina Faso. Mes frères, you're in a different area of the continent, and we haven't heard much about West African experience. So can you please share with us, how do all these stories resonate with you, and how you place this in a West African context? What do you think, sir?
I think I am very astonished to discover this kind of invasive plant. And in my country, I don't know this kind of invasive plant. But what is in agriculture, sometimes based on livestock, the displacement of livestock, the breeding of
En français?
Je disais que, en fait, je vais traduire en français, et je n'ai pas connaissance en tant que ces plantes qui ont des plantes invasives qui ont un impact sur la santé des populations et des animaux. Mais par contre, ce qui est caractéristique, c'est que dû en tant que tel au déplacement des animaux, les animaux qui font la transhumance, ils peuvent prendre des mauvaises herbes, et lorsqu'ils font des digestions dans les champs, ça infecte les champs. Donc il y a une introduction de mauvaises plantes qui sont vraiment qui infestent les champs. C'est ce que je peux connaître. Mais je suis vraiment étonné de connaître qu'il y a des plantes ici qui ont des herbes qui sont invasives et qui ont un impact sur la santé des hommes et des populations.
This is a very interesting thing, Monsieur. Monsieur says that he also comes from a pastoralist country, and there is also transhumance in his country, and he knows that animals can spread seeds and can spread sometimes the not so good seeds, but he has never seen invasive species like this. So I hope you're learning a lot, and be careful that such a thing will not happen in Burkina Faso. Okay. I think it would, yes, please, sir. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I will give some of my comments about this invasive
Can you
species.
speak a bit louder?
Okay. I am from Ethiopia, from Arba Minch University to the southwest of Ethiopia. So I would like to give some of my views regarding to these invasive species. Yeah, it is of course all these listed, the Prosophis, or Lantana camara, Partinum, are very, very, very bad experience in Ethiopia. In East Africa. Yes, in East Africa also. Similar to Prosophis also there is Dicrochus cinerea, which is destroying Nechisar National Park also. But what is the main reason? We have to know, all of us, as a human being, we have to learn the cause. We are the causes, because we think that we are out of the ecosystem. We are out of the ecology, and we started moving to one direction, forgetting the whole thing. So this happens because invasive species by itself, in their original place, they are not invasive, because there are biological control, physiochemical factors, they will control them. But when they brought one way in another way to in another place, there is no biological control, and one. The second is we destroyed all our indigenous plants. They fight back this thing, but they are very weak. We don't have them. We destroyed them. So it is obvious that invasive species in all degraded land can occupy the whole thing. They will destroy. So what we have to do is, first we have to study about their original place. All of them in their original place, they have a biological control. And plus one mechanism cannot destroy them, because they are now overpassing the tipping point. Some of them, I heard from you that about Lantana camara, they fight back, because they are almost irreversible. Once they control, it is very difficult to replace back. So you have to go there and learn about the original place, at the same time combine biological, also the other, all these mechanical ways also to destroy. This is my
contribution. Thank you. What I'm saying is we really have created our own problem.
Yes.
By moving around, destroying native species, we opened the door for invasive species.
Yes. We have to bring back all indigenous ours also. If we bring our indigenous, also the biodiversity there, they will fight back.
They will fight back, and this is a perfect moment to hand over to our colleagues from Cali. And this is particularly your topic, so please, Arne.
Thank you. I'm going to stand because I find it more intimidating if I stand and give the different Okay, thanks. Thanks for that. So I'm just going to briefly explain. Sorry if I'm preaching to convert, some of the things might be very obvious to a lot of you, but for some people they might not be. So I'm going to start from the beginning. So we heard this morning, so if it's green, isn't necessarily good. So some people are saying, well, the landscape is green, so it must be good. But is it really good? So I like these quotes because Hamed Bokaraisen did a thesis in Eritrea on Prosopis. And this was one of the comments from one of the pastoralists. We used to love green colors before Prosopis, but now we hate it due to the impact Prosopis has. And then another guy said, are green deserts better than brown deserts? And one of the pastoralists said, for me, the dry trees are better than a green pillar. Okay, so these are voices from communities that are being directly affected by invasive alien species. And I don't think they're often consulted when we introduce species. We decide for them what we think is good for them. We don't actually ask them. We ask for their opinion. So I'm going to start at the beginning. What is an invasive alien species? So it's obviously an exotic species that has been introduced to the country by people either for ornamental purposes or for agroforestry or whatever the case may be, for timber, etc. And it establishes and it proliferates and it has a negative impact. It has a negative impact on biodiversity, crop production, pasture production, water etc., etc. So just because an exotic plant species might have some beneficial attributes does not mean that it can't be invasive. Okay? So invasive species can have positive qualities, but if they have a negative impact, then we call them invasive alien species. So these are some of the impacts, and some of the impacts have been discussed already. When you look at water hyacinth, for example, water hyacinth has a massive impact on hydroelectricity generation. So it has a huge impact on the country's economies. Whole country's economy is actually shut down in some countries where they're totally dependent on hydroelectricity generation. They also drive human-wildlife conflict. And we talked about cactus this morning, and elephants are definitely driving human-wildlife. Cactus is driving increased human-wildlife conflict. So elephants are coming to areas, pastoral areas, communal areas to feed on the cactus, and obviously there's a direct interaction with pastoralists, and I think a number of people have lost their lives already in Laikipia as a result of that. People were talking about conflicts. So people abandon their land, they move into areas which are free of Prosopis or cactus, and they come into conflict with other communities. And obviously we spoke about some people also mentioned people abandoned their land. So I've spoken to people, I've met people who have actually abandoned their land. They said, I can't deal with Sweden anymore, I'm going to live somewhere else. They can also erode traditions and a way of life. So we heard this morning about the Messiah. Prosopis and cactus is eroding a traditional way of life. And their proliferation spread is often facilitated by poor land use management. So land degradation drives invasions often. So invasive alien plants generally grow faster, produce more propagules, more seeds for example, and they have few to no natural enemies in the country of introduction. Most of the worst invasive plant species are toxic to livestock and wildlife. So livestock generally don't eat lantana, they don't eat the prosopis, but not the leaves, for example. Cactus, they might eat the fruit, but they obviously don't eat potatoes, most cactus species. Once established, they spread and displace native plant species and organisms associated with them. In croplands, they have significant impacts on yields. They are biological pollutants. We must forget that. So invasive species are biological pollutants. Okay. So if you have an oil spill, you have a pollution, you have a chemical spill in a river, biological pollutants are no different. They know no boundaries, they don't respect any boundaries, they move from one country to the next, one region to another. However, some invasive plant species also have benefits, we heard this morning. So some people say, the fuel, etc. Maybe people value some of these invasive species for carbon sequestration, ornamental purposes. Lantana was introduced as an ornamental plant. Some people use them for medicinal purposes. And sometimes even used for restoration, which is most unfortunate. I'm going to tell you why now. But the benefits generally never outweigh the costs. So I'm just going to use this as an example, a very silly example. Spend my time downloading little pictures of cows from the internet last night. But if you have a piece of land like this, okay, and let's say 100 hectares, and you have cattle on it, and you think, oh, I'm going to introduce a prosopis because somebody told me that prosopis is a very valuable tree. So I grow one prosopis tree on my land. And then somebody else told me, oh, cactus, it's very good for hedges. So I plant a couple of cactus plants as a hedge. But what happens over time, they don't just stay there. They're producing seeds, and the seeds or the fruits are being eaten by wildlife and livestock. And then you get a situation like this. Maybe a couple of months later or a couple of years later. So you've got the same piece of land, same number of livestock, but less forage. Okay, because these species now are starting to expand their range and starting to displace valuable species. And after a while, it looks like this. So what happens is you have the same number of cattle. Half your land now is unproductive. The productive land now is overgrazed, leading to land degradation. And as soon as you have more land degradation, you're opening up a route or a pathway for invasive species because they like degraded lands. So in time, you end up with nothing. So this is what generally happens. This is a general view of invasion. So this situation here, we introduce a few plants. So initially, they might have some benefits for fruit, fuel, whatever. And yes, so the benefits increase over time. But as they densify and become more widespread, get more abundant, more dense, the benefits start decreasing and the costs start increasing. So over time, the costs are significantly higher than the benefits. So people are talking how we can collect cactus fruit. Okay, and use cactus fruit. I don't know how many of you have actually been to a cactus infestation. You can't even get into those stands to go and collect fruit. The stands are so dense. You can't get in there. It's a virtual monoculture. One point to the next. So utilization, to do for utilization, only take maybe some of the fruits around the edge, but the rest will be eaten by birds, etc., and spread around. I just want to talk, we spoke about, you've seen this picture of Lantana Camara. So on the left-hand side is the current distribution of Lantana Camara in Eastern Africa. You can see it's really quite widespread, so all the red blocks show where it's abundant, and all the green there are protected areas. Okay, so you see a lot of protected areas are already being invaded. On the right-hand side you'll see is an ecoclimatic map, which tells you which areas are climatically suitable for Lantana Camara invasion. Okay, so the left-hand side is what the situation is currently. The situation on the right is what it potentially could be. So you can see the darker the red, the more likely the species will establish there, the better the matches in terms of climate. So you can see vast areas are still potentially going to be invaded. Much of Tanzania, all of Uganda, okay, and large parts of Ethiopia. If you look at it at a global level, in a continental level, the darker the green, the more ecoclimatically suitable that area is for invasion. So you can see Lantana is potentially going to occupy much of Africa. You can look at another weed, Chromalina dorata, which is now invading southwestern Kenya and northern Tanzania. All you see here is Chromalina dorata. All the light green, yellow is all Chromalina dorata. That's its current distribution on the left-hand side. Potentially this is what it could look like. So Winifred was talking about Parthenium. So Chromalina is going to do very well in Uganda. It's unpalatable. Work has been done elsewhere, which shows it decreases your carrying capacity from 6 hectares per livestock unit to 15 hectares per livestock unit. So with the same number of livestock, you need 2.5 times more land. Once this establishes in your farmland. So at a continental level, this is the potential distribution. You can look at others. Cryptosthesia, which is just starting to invade Ethiopia. It reduces grazing potential by 100%. It invaded 34 million hectares in Australia. Okay? This is where it is now in Ethiopia. Look at the right-hand side. The darker, the blue, the more likely that area will be invaded. Okay? So all your pastoral lands up in East Africa are going to be invaded if we don't do something about it. So what will happen to natural grazing lands if you don't manage invasive plants? So we'll talk about land degradation, which is a workshop or meeting, whatever it's all about. Sort of forget about invasive species, which is another form of land degradation. And when we do an analysis of land degradation, we don't actually include the invaded lands, okay, as a form of land degradation. You see, if it's green, like people are saying, then it can't be degraded. It's good. A study done in South Africa. If they don't manage invasive plant species, they will lose 71% of their national grazing. Will be lost. The situation will be no different to much of the rest of Africa, especially Eastern Africa. All our rangelands are going to be invaded by Parthenium, by Lantana, by cactus, by Prosopis. We're going to lose all that grazing. So this is the picture of an invaded landscape of Prosopis. Saying that is not restoration. Using Prosopis for restoration is a big mistake, and a whole host of these. This is restoration. Restoring these grasslands, bringing that wildlife back, that Baisaurus. That's what it's all about. And that's it.
Okay.
And
good.
By the way, I mean, we just recently did a guide on national invasive plants of East Africa. 200 species. A lot of the species are included in this book, actively promoted, unfortunately, by a lot of development agencies for restoration and all sorts of other stuff. We have to really look at the implications of what we do. Because the intervention now can have very serious limiting impacts in the past. And development, sustainable development, is about interventions that don't benefit all sectors, that don't benefit one sector, but benefit all sectors. So if you have an intervention that only benefits one sector, but has negative impact on another sector, this is not development. Okay? So we have to look at holistic plans. And one of those is avoiding introduction of invasive species.
So, mon frère du Burkina Faso, if you go home, make sure you don't have seeds in your pockets or on your shoes, that when you arrive back home, you introduce an invasive species and you'll be in trouble.
Okay, thank you.
Before I give the final words to Mr. Ken, the absolute expert on this matter, very happy to have you here. I would like to ask you, who of you has learned something in this session? Who of you has learned something? May I ask you, please, sir, what have you learned in this session? No? Yes, you.
It's just the fact that invasives are such a major issue. And I was very happy with the further comment just now that it's has to benefit all sectors and not just one.
So a much more holistic view of the matter. I thought so you were also learning. What have you learned?
I learned the extent of the challenge, also some emerging challenges in addition to what we know. So this is quite challenging. We need to join us to work together on this issue because the movement of this invasive species requires proper control and integration between countries, regions. It's very difficult for a single country to challenge also.
It needs collective action. It's scary because the effects can be so much larger than we think. What have you learned?
Oh, well, many things. One in particular is Lantana, I think is quite common in Kampala, which I always thought, if I have the right, I'm going to Google it after, but I think it's so common that I didn't realize it was invasive. It's grown all over gardens all over Kampala. So I'm going to look into that further.
Some ladies, did you learn something?
Yes, I learned, and I learned that though it's a different issue, it has its costs and benefits, and again, it's also, it needs collaborative efforts to tackle such an issue.
Yeah.
So yes,
Yes, and the costs may outweigh the benefits on the long run. And what have you learned?
I've learned that we've always, in research, we've always known that degradation drives invasion. You find that in degraded land is where you get these species. But now I am looking at it in a different way, that actually we need to start the action now, nationally and with the devolved units. Because it is a bigger problem than what I thought.
Yeah.
We need maybe policies or legislative framework of how to address it.
Yes.
And it should be immediately.
So immediate action before it gets out of hand. And what I very much like you saying is action at the policy level and action at the grassroots. Like all our experts have that experience and have that action in their own landscape. I would like to give the final word to Ken Kudze. And Ken Kudze is passionate about management of invasive species. Very happy to hand over to
Also
you.
going to stand.
Good.
Our business is concerned with rehabilitation of lands that have become degraded. A lot of the interior of southern Africa is very important for livestock grazing and has over the last 300 years become very, very degraded. Soil erosion is a massive problem in the interior, the area that we work in, and with the resulting loss of topsoil and the invasion by numerous cactus species. So we're concerned with rehabilitation, and we believe that the answer lies in getting a vegetation cover back, but first dealing with the cactus problem itself. These are simple hollows made in the ground to trap water. Each holds about 50 liters of water when it rains. They are mulched and seeded. And in some cases, like in this case, they're not seeded at all. So nature did the job. All we did was provide the hollows for collecting the water. We do this over a grand scale. We would do it over even grander scale if we had the money to do it. But finance is always the problem.
in very badly degraded areas, we stick a machine in and we put contour berms in, and you can see the result. Just simply by holding water back, you get vegetation re-establishing, and we do this every so many 100 meters over larger landscapes, and the restoration is amazing. You can't believe that that used to be a severely degraded area before. We use plants in our restoration efforts, but only indigenous plants. We do not believe in using anything alien. That is an indigenous plant that grows in that area. If you plant it densely along contour lines, you basically building a gabion. It holds back silt, it holds back water, grasses start to grow behind it, and so forth. And we do this over thousands of hectares. The plant is simply cut and stuck in the ground, and it grows vegetatively. Changing gully erosion by simply shaping it by hand, and then doing brush packing and putting in a few silt fences here and there, and we find that the results are quite amazing. All we're doing is slowing down the water, getting it to infiltrate the soil, and creating a much better microclimate for plant establishment. Here we have a deep gully, similarly treated, basically shaped into a 30-degree angle, covered with mulch, a couple of silt fences, and you can see the recovery. Nothing was planted there. Here we have the Pinos River in the Kamloops National Park, what it used to look like in this area. In 2013, with treatments like the ones I've just discussed, this is what it looks like in 2014. One good rain is all we needed, but we needed to do the rehabilitation work. And I must mention that all of this work goes hand in hand with the eradication of the invasive alien plants first, and then the practical application of the rehabilitation. And then things that are really important, remove the cause of the erosion. In other words, get rid of the livestock or fence them out, control invasive alien plants, slow down the water, increase water infiltration. Follow-up control is critical, otherwise you're just wasting money. You have to go back and check that it worked. Follow-up maintenance of the erosion control structures, continuous monitoring of results, and that's all. Thank you.
Wow, that's great. Thank you, Ken, for giving us hope. Because we do not want you to leave this room depressed. We do not like problems. We like solutions. We love restoration, but our message is simple. If you restore, do it with care. And with care, we mean listen to the inhabitants, the custodians, the people from the landscape, because they care and they know best. Thank you very much, and see